Hi, I'm Neil Santos, and I'd like to welcome you to the Pentatonic Way guitar series. If this is your first time with us, allow me to extend a personal invitation to grab your guitar and play along with us during the show. And if you've been with us before, please allow me to thank you for inviting us back for another chance to jam with you. During each show, we'll focus on a different chord progression, how to play it, and how to solo over it using only the pentatonic scales. After that, I'll play a quick demonstration, show you a new pentatonic lick to add to your bag of tricks, and then it'll be your turn to jam out, and you're gonna sound amazing. But before we jump into the video, a quick plug for my lead guitar course called the Pentatonic Way. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's linked in the description box below, or you can go to pentatonicway.com to find out more information about it, as well as other courses that I have available. It's a great way to support this show and channel if you like what I'm doing here. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get started. The concept behind the Pentatonic Way system is easy to understand and remember, and it is this. For every chord, there's a matching pentatonic scale. That's it. For example, when you're playing over a G minor chord, you play a G minor pentatonic scale. If you're playing over a D major chord, you play a D major pentatonic scale. You simply match the note name and the tonality of the chords and the scales, and everything will sound amazing. So let's begin with this progression today. We're going to start with the G major chord, move up to a C major chord, and then up to a D major chord. All right? All right, so for the G major chord, let's start here in our typical bar chord for G. So we're going to start on the 3rd fret. You have 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3. All right? And then for C, we'll move down to that shape. You're going to start on the 3rd fret on the 5th string, and then you bar 5, 5, 5. That's on the D string, the G string, and the B string. And then if you can, try to grab the 3rd fret here with your index finger. You're going to really have to bend this first knuckle on your pinky to get that. If you can't get that, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter that much. And then for the D, instead of just moving up like we usually do, you know, like you might typically just move that bar chord up 2 frets, we're going to do a different voicing based around the open D note chord that you might know. But instead of playing these 2 notes with 2 separate fingers, we're going to bar it with your 1st finger. We're going to use your middle finger here on the 3. So you have your D major chord right there. But we're going to put these fingers into play, and we're going to bring your ring finger to the D string on the 4th fret, and your pinky finger to the 5th fret on that 5th string. So you have 5, 4, 2, 3, 2. All right, so you have your G, your C, and then your D. All right, cool. So let me record a little loop here that we're going to jam over after I show you what scales to play over these chords. All right, just give me 1 second. All right, so there's our G, our C, and our D. And I kind of hung on the D twice as long as the other chords. And then here's the loop. All right, cool. So we'll get back to that in a second. But first, let's take a look at the scales we're going to use over these chords, okay? So over the G major, this bar chord here, we can use the 2nd shape of the pentatonic scale. And it's what I typically think of as the major pentatonic shape. And it's going to start on the 3rd fret. So you're going to start with your middle finger and play 3, 5. And then on the A string, play 2, 5. The D string, play 2, 5. G string, you got 2, 4. On the B string, you have 3, 5. And on the E string, you have 3, 5. So descending, it's 5, 3, 5, 3, 4, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 3. And let's look at the notes that voicing share with the scale that we're playing. So we have that note's in there, that note's in there, that note's in there, that note's in there, that one, and that one. that's why they sound so good together. All right? So let's move on to the C chord. We're playing this voicing here, and with the pentatonic way system, every time you have that voicing, you know that you can play the fifth shape of the pentatonic scale. So that's going to start on the 3rd fret as well. Even though our root note is here, we're going to start here on the E string. And that's going to be, on the E string you have 3-5, the A string you have 3-5, the D string you have 2-5, G string is 2-5, the B string is 3-5, and the E string is 3-5. And then descending 5-3, 5-3, 5-2, 5-2, 5-3, 5-3. Very symmetrical scale. I like that a lot. So if we look at the notes that shares with the chord voicing, we have this one is in it, that note, that note, that note, and that note. And that's why that scale sounds so good with that voicing. Cool. And last but not least, we have our new D major voicing here. Now the shape that we associate with that shape, the scale shape that we associate with that chord voicing is going to be the 4th shape of the pentatonic scale. All right, now that one's going to start on the 2nd fret. So on the E string you have 2-5, the A string you have 2-5, D string you have 2-4, the G string you have 2-4, the B string you have 3-5, and the bottom string, bottom E, you have 2-5. So 5-2, 5-3, 4-2, 4-2, 5-2, and 5-2. And if we look at the notes shared with the voicing and the scale, we have that note, your root note. That note there is the 3rd. You have your 5th. You have your root again. And you have your 3rd. All right, cool. So let's listen while I demonstrate what it sounds like when we combine our 3 major chords and our 3 pentatonic scales. Feel free to noodle along with me while I play and explore the sounds a bit. All right, here we go. And that was the G and the C. And you got this long D here, which is cool. We'll be able to jam on that a lot. So we have the 2nd shape, the 5th shape, then the 4th shape. All right. Cool. You can take little bits of the chord, the shapes, create little voicings. All right, cool. Sweet. That's a great progression. You've heard it in like a million songs, I'm sure. It's the one chord. So if you hear the G, your one chord. Then you have your four chord. If you think about it, you have G, A, B, C. So there's your four chord. And then the next chord would be five, would be D. So it's the 1, 4, 5, and D. It's pretty popular. You can make a million songs out of those three chords. Cool. So let's take a minute now and look at a pentatonic lick that you can add to your bag of tricks. So today we don't really have a lick per se, more of a technique that you can use to enhance your solos and give your solos sort of continuity in a through line and make it sound cohesive. So that's a lot of big words to just say, it'll make your solo sound good. All right, so we're going to talk about motifs today. And I was doing a couple in the solo I just demonstrated. And what it is taking a small idea, and they call it a motif, and then expanding on it or changing the scale you're in or flipping it around or, you know, repeating it. And for example, like on that G, if I was doing something like, that'd be your motif. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? And then you go to the C, you could stay in the same kind of area. Only thing that changed was these two notes because of the scale changed. And then we go to the D, you go, now this note is different. So let me hear that with the chords, right? Add a tag at the end. Maybe jump into a new motif. Something like that. So you take a small idea, that last time the idea was something like that, and then it switches chords, but those notes are the same in the next scale. And then it goes to the D. Now that note's different. But if it sounds like it's getting boring, then just jump in, like launch from that into a lick, kind of travel somewhere, and then it goes to a G, so now you land on that. And you bring that motif back a little bit, and you don't have to like have your motifs all like lined up, you know, you don't have to repeat them. You can do a little motif here, and then do something else, and then bring the motif back, and then do something else and bring the motif back again in different ways. And that will give the audience, the listener, you know, this sense of familiarity with what's going on, and will pull them through the solo, more like a story. You know, so you don't have to come up with a billion different licks. You can have these little motifs kind of pull you through the story, like help you write the story almost. Story, solo, same thing. All right? Cool. So now it's time for you to grab your guitar and have some fun. I'm going to play a little rhythmic accompaniment along with the loop while you jam along using the scales on the screen. So ready? Let's go. So here's your G. There's your C. And there's your D. And if you can't play the whole scale, just take a little bit of it. Like one note, two strings, you know? As long as you stick with the scales, you're going to sound awesome. like notes that may not fit exactly where, like share the, what am I trying to say? Notes that don't actually fall in the scale, like this one here isn't in that chord. Let it pull you to the note that in your head you go, okay, it's that note that I'm like looking for. Like here's the D. That note's not in the chord, but that note is. So maybe as you just improvise and don't even think about it, just follow your ear, follow your bliss, right? So in that note, maybe you go up. Pretty cool. How's it sounding to you? You hearing the chords change in your phrases that you're coming up with? If you like the lo-fi sort of guitar style, this might be good for you too. You can just start create like chord voicings using these like scale shapes. Gives that really open sound. Cool. Cool. So that's all the time we have for today. I hope that you enjoyed this approach to improvising and it helps you play with confidence and find your own voice on the guitar. It's a simple way to understand the guitar that you can do. And if you try it, I'd love to hear some recordings of what you're doing. So if you have time to make a video, send it to me over at thepentatonicway.com. Till then, from all of us here at the Pentatonic Way, I'd like to wish you happy picking and good luck, my friend.